Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be playing Nahiri Boom again, this time with the addition of Sunbaked Canyons, courtesy of Six Sigma yet again. I have to mention, I really appreciate all the recent card donations to the channel, the overwhelming majority of which come from Bone Daddy, but I've had people donate me like engineered explosives, I've had just random one-offs here and there, as well as like occasionally playsets. And I'm getting to the point where I have a large number of modern staples on hand, so I can quickly swap up to play any deck. I don't have to worry about trying to rent from people, I don't have to worry about gathering up a card list. I actually have the majority of the cards that I want to play with, which is a really awesome feeling, especially digitally, where I don't have to like constantly sleeve and unsleeve. So, big shout out to everybody who's donated cards. And, yeah, so we're playing the land destruction deck again, because I want to make people sad after being made sad with Tron recently. And let's, without much further rambling, take this into a modern league, shall we? Alright, round one, here we go. Okay, we will be on the draw. Ooh, we finally get to take advantage of gemstone caverns. Opponent reveals Luris, so they are probably, what do you call it? Shadow of some kind. I'm going to keep. I'll play Gemstone Caverns. I don't know if Gideon is going to be good. Theoretically, he's really good versus them. I don't want to hit a land. I don't want to drop Maze Mind Tome. I think I have to drop Gideon here, which is a bit disappointing, but we'll see how our opponent starts. Turn 1 Cleansing Wildfire would be great. If we top deck a Flagstones, and we get to untap on turn 2 with 4 lands, that would be amazing. So, opponent can take anything they want here. Honestly, it might be the Maze Mind Tome. Yep. Okay. Come on, Flagstones. Pillage is alright. Yeah, so I'm going to shock Sacred Foundry. We're going to Cleansing Wildfire our opponent. Take them off of at least one color of mana. I also think they don't run that many basics, so we might be able to get to the point where we are strip mining them or sinkholing them, I guess, in the case of Cleansing Wildfire. When it gets a Swamp, Thoughtseize, they're going to be able to take a Pillage. Play Verdant Catacombs. We untap. We draw Cascading Cataracts. Play Cataracts, and we'll go ahead and pillage one of their lands. Okay, opponent cracks Verdant Catacombs in response. It's a Blood Crypt tapped. Okay, they untap. They Cling to Dust Pillage to draw a card. Ooh, Boom and Bust. Perfect. So what we can do here, I mean, there's no reason to, but what we could do is we could target Sunbaked Canyon and our opponent's land, and then crack Sunbaked Canyon in response. Because Boom only gets countered if all legal targets for it are incorrect. But there's no reason to do that when we can just do this. It's less mechanically intensive if you're playing Moto than it would be to just declare that's what you're doing in paper. But here we get to see some of the power of this deck. If my opponent had a land and like another hand hate spell, we could hide a card. We cycle through our deck a little bit faster, because otherwise we would just be top decking a land. So, okay, opponent finally finds another land. Cracks Verdant Catacombs. Plays an Overgrown Tomb untapped. Hex Drinker. So it looks like Jund Death Shadow. I'm not going to hold on to a Wrath versus my opponent, who has been struggling to play cards on one, and plays a lot of hand hate. Okay, we draw Relic. Play Relic. Cycle Relic. Get a Lightning Bolt. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn. My opponent plays a Nurturing Peatland into a Scourge, which immediately gets terminated with Extreme Prejudice. We untap. We draw Sacred Foundry. Play it tapped. I think I'm to the point where I should start holding lands, actually. I probably should have held that one. I just played it automatically. Okay, opponent plays Bloodstained Mire. Cracks it, gets a Stomping Ground untapped. They could be putting Luris in their hand. They get Wrenn and 6. They pick up a land. We untap. We draw Emrakul, which unfortunately we're a long way off of casting. Any of our Planeswalkers would be good draws here. Yeah, I think my opponent is going to probably be able to get out from it. Renin 6 is a tough card for this deck to beat, just because it undoes land destruction very quickly. Okay, opponent Croxes us, so we discard Emrakul. Shuffle it back in. Opponent sacks Croxa. Probably picks up a Bloodstained Mire and passes. So we untap, we draw Darksteel Citadel. Pass. If my opponent should be able to... No, never mind. I was going to say, if they get back Croxa, they could make us discard, but they'd have to draw Lurrus, I think, for that at this point. They put Lurrus in their hand. I kind of want to draw Boom and Bust, but at the same time, I'm also not going to have colored mana after I cast that, so... Okay, opponent starts sacking lands to draw cards. We untap. We draw a Lightning Bolt. Pass the turn. It's possible my opponent takes 3 more damage somehow, and we might need to bolt Renin 6 because my opponent having access to Retrace might be pretty terrible. I think we also have... Are we running a playset of bolts? We already used one. Yeah, we are. Okay. Opponent picks up Bloodstained Mire. They played a Blackcleave Cliffs tapped. They play Seal of Fire, and they're going to pass. They're not playing Lurrus, which I think is kind of interesting. We untap. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Nice. Oh, that felt good. Okay, Celestial Purge, Timely Reinforcements in. What comes out? I'm going to drop 1 Wrath. I don't really want to drop Bolts, but like I don't know what else I can really drop in this matchup. I guess Sweltering Suns is not good versus them. Oust has its place because it gains them life, could potentially kill a Shadow or Scourge, also makes them redraw cards that are low impact. Purge can hit Renin 6, which is a huge deal. Bolt is partially like reach in this matchup, so I'm reluctant to give it up, but I also just like, I gotta cut something. I think I'll cut a Lightning Bolt, and maybe I cut an Oust. I'll try it like this. Okay, got a little lucky on that first game there. Well, we've got Boom, which can't be Inquisitioned. We have Cascading Cataracts. I'm gonna keep. This is a good, like, on-the-draw hand. Opponent cracks Bauble. Don't really care who they look at. Generally, when they play Bauble prior to playing a land, they look at themselves. Ooh, white mana. But if I play white mana, I can't Boom. I still think the Oust is worth it. Pass the turn. If my opponent plays a Renin 6 this turn, we can Purge it, which is actually, I think, better than Boom, because we definitely want to stop any crazy land buyback shenanigans with Renin 6 early. And opponent plays a Tarmogoyf. We draw Nahiri, play a Mountain, pass the turn. This lets us leave up Purge this turn. Okay, they play Verdant, they Thoughtseize. They can take whatever they want. They probably take Purge, as that's one of our better spells against them. That or they take Nahiri if they don't have an answer to her, and they don't care about Purge this game. They shouldn't really be worried about land destruction with a Tarmogoyf on board and seeing no answer in our hand. Yep, they take Nahiri. Okay. They crack Verdant Catacombs. They find Blood Crypt untapped. Second Tarmogoyf. Okay, that's a problem. They hit us for 4. We untap. We draw Pillage. Play Cataracts. Boom. Take out their green mana. Pass the turn. But we need to top deck removal for the Goyfs or like a Relic of Progenitus to reset them. Otherwise, we just die. Okay, opponent hits us for 8. We go to 8. They play Verdant. Crack Verdant. Get a basic forest. They just tap their mana. Oh, they put Lurrus in their hand. Duh. Alright. Timely's good. Timely gets us a bunch of life and a bunch of blockers. So my opponent can play Lurrus and start bobbling us. Honestly, if I were my opponent and saw this hand, I would take Gideon. Because the Pillage doesn't really hurt them. Even if we cast it, we're not really limiting their mana that much. Or I would take the Purge, I guess, if I was really worried about it. But us purging one of their permanents doesn't matter. Yeah, they take Gideon. Okay. Second hand hate also helps make that decision easier. Chump and Chump. We're going to try and maintain a high life total for a second here. We get a Darksteel Citadel. So play Darksteel Citadel. Pass the turn. No attacks. I have to be careful if I cast this Celestial Purge, because there's no instance in the... Well, I guess Kolaghan's command makes it not matter. Okay. We're going to discard Pillage. We're going to take 10 here. Problem is, even if we draw a Wrath, we can't cast it, because we don't have double white. A Johnny... We could stop a Goyf from untapping, but We're at 2 low life total. Okay. Well, game 3 being on the play should help a lot. Yeah. Maybe it's possible that on the draw I should drop, like, some number of pillage and keep in the removal, but on the play I think I want the land destruction. Something to keep in mind, at least for future playthroughs of this deck. I really like this deck, I haven't mastered it, so... Okay, well this is a Flagstone's Cleansing Wildfire hand, so I'm going to keep this, because this is a very fast Nahiri. We will start Sacred Foundry tapped, pass the turn. We also have some Sunbaked Canyons for redraws. If my opponent starts hand hate, they can take Cleansing Wildfire, which does slow us down quite a bit, but it's not like the end of the world if they do that. Alright, opponent does not do that. Play Flagstones. Cleansing Wildfire Flagstones. We'll get a Plains, I guess, and then Flagstones. We will get a Sacred Foundry. Okay, pass the turn. And next turn, even if we just, like, oust and pillage, is pretty good. Opponent is going to have to crack their fetch lands to actually cast spells, so I mean... That is the one nice thing about Cleansing Wildfire, is it gives you something to do on turn 2 if your opponent starts fetch land and doesn't crack it. Like, you can't just cast Boom in that scenario, you know? We untap, we draw Cascading Cataracts. See, I think the plan is to oust and pillage here. And I think taking them off of black mana is more important. Pass the turn. If they just pass and have nothing to do here, that's amazing. Alright, opponent has a Blood Crypt. Second Goyf. We untap. We draw another pillage. Play Sunbaked Canyon. No reason to do this now, I guess. Pillage the black mana. Pass the turn. I'm gonna sack this Sunbaked Canyon to draw, and I'm probably going to use Nahiri as removal. Okay, second Tarmogoyf. They attack us for 3, that's fine. We go to 17. Sack Sunbaked Canyon. Okay, we draw Boom and Bust. Draw Maze Mine Tome. Play Maze Mine Tome. Well, we'll play, I guess we gotta play Nahiri here. We'll downtick on Tarmogoyf, which means they can attack and kill Nahiri. But they can do that if we uptick too. It just kind of like makes the decision for them. Okay, we get Thought Seized. That's fine. I imagine if my opponent's out of lands, they have to take the land destruction. If not, they probably take Tome as it represents the most value, and they're trying to be an attrition deck versus another attrition deck. Okay, they take Tome. They play Seal of Fire. They can actually shoot Nahiri this way, and that increases their clock on the Goyf significantly. Okay, we untap. We draw a Johnny Vengeant, which is actually kind of a big deal here. So play a Johnny will prevent Goyf from untapping. And a Johnny is now large enough that he can't just be lightning bolted. If we draw a land, we can Armageddon, and then come out way ahead in that exchange. Opponent plays a Swamp, plays another Tarmogoyf. That's kind of a big deal. If we draw a Wrath here, we're like beyond fine. Celestial Purge is not as good. We could downtick a Johnny and then a Lightning Bolt to gain some life. I'm gonna sack Sunbaked Canyon and see what I draw here first. Because if we get an Oust or something, that'd be great. Okay, it's a Flagstones. Play Flagstones. Yeah, I think we're going to go with the play that actually kills a Tarmogoyf. There is an instant in the grave, is there not? Oh, crap. I should not have done that. Because I believe Lightning Bolt actually grows the Goyf at the same time it does the damage. On it, Lightning Bolts. Yeah, they didn't actually have to do that. Well, alright then. We'll Boom Flagstones and Stomping Ground. But we're going to have to draw a Wrath next turn to survive. Get a Sacred Foundry tapped. Pass the turn. Yeah, I totally forgot to check. That's actually a huge mistake, but my opponent had a Bolt, so it's not like it mattered. If you use a damage-based spell to try and kill Goyf, and that type of spell is not in the grave, state-based actions get checked, and the power and toughness gets adjusted the same time the damage is done. So it would have gained an additional point of toughness, and then not died due to the damage. Alright, Gideon doesn't work here, unfortunately. It only fogs one creature. And Purge is not good versus Goyf. So, alright, well we lose round 1, but I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright, round 2, here we go. Alright, we'll be on the draw for round 2. I don't want to keep a one-lander, so we got a mulligan. Well, I mean, this is a fast Gideon, I guess. We'll put back a Johnny as much as that hurts. Gemstone Caverns, and we'll exile Day of Judgment. Hopefully we don't need a Wrath. But we'll see. Opponent starts Ghost Quarter. We draw a Sacred Foundry. Play Sacred Foundry tapped. Pass the turn. I suspect my opponent is Titan. Could also be Death and Taxes. Okay, it's actually Tron. And Blue Tron at that. Okay. Play Chalice on 0. Well, we're not playing any free spells. Play Cascading Cataracts, and we're going to go ahead and get them with the old Boom and Bust. So, Boom, we'll take out the Tron land. Pass the turn. If they have to tap, okay, they repeal Chalice. That's kind of cool. So they used Chalice as a repeal target, like we did with Tormod script the other day. But it also gives them information about what they should put Chalice on, while protecting them from, like, free spells. It's kind of cool. Alright, well, we'll try and play Nahiri. Suspect Condescend or Remand here. Lutron generally doesn't keep a hand without it, but... So, discard Gideon. We draw land. Pass the turn. Opponent thirsts for knowledge. They discard Chalice. Okay. They decide Chalice is not going to be useful this game. They play an Urza's Mine. And they play an Oblivion Stone. Okay. We untap. We draw Flagstones. Uptick Nahiri. We will discard Cascading Cataracts. Ooh. Play Flagstones. And I think we just pillage the island here. Because it's not like they can do anything to reset Nahiri. They can't get multiple mana in a turn. Yeah, we're just going to pillage their blue source. Because next turn we get Emrakul and smack them. Okay, opponent plays a Blast Zone. 4 mana. Walking Ballista on 2. Okay. Well, that lets them keep Nahiri off of Ultimate for a turn. Sack Sunbaked Canyon. We'll draw a card. Draw Sacred Foundry. Man, Sunbaked Canyon are so good. Draw another Sunbaked Canyon. So uptick. Discard Sacred Foundry. We get Sweltering Suns. Play Canyon. Sack it to draw. We're looking for a land destruction spell. Bolt doesn't really do it, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to Bolt Ballista and pass the turn. If my opponent has to spend their turn activating O-Stone, they're going to take themselves off of blue mana. They ping us for 1, so it does appear as though their intent is to activate O-Stone. They lose Talisman of Dominance in the process. Okay. We untap. Draw Lightning Bolt. Play Gideon. Emblem him, because I don't think his loyalty matters that much this game. Opponent plays an island. Plays a Trinket Mage, sure. They tutor up Expedition Map. Play map. We will Bolt the Mage. Okay. We untap. Draw Wrath of God. Animate Gideon. Attack our opponent for 4. So it's possible I should have pillaged the O-Stone earlier, because I forget that Blutron actually runs Walking Ballista when I don't. Okay. So opponent is setting up for Tron. Let's cycle Sweltering Suns. We get a Relic. Untap. See what we draw. Another Relic. Play Relic. Nuke the Graves. We get a Sunbaked Canyon, so play it. Animate Gideon. Go to combat. Attack for 4. But our opponent is going to assemble Tron here. Play Relic. Okay. Then they Gifts Ungiven us. Us having a Relic on board, though, does let us manipulate what we actually give to our opponent here. I haven't seen Gifts played in Mono Blue Tron since Blue White Tron used to use it to reanimate Iona. Solemn Simulacrum Treasure Mage, Condescend, Thirst for Knowledge. Honestly, I think we get rid of Thirst for Knowledge and Treasure Mage. One counterspell shouldn't sink us. It is annoying. Okay. So we know they have a Condescend and a Solemn Simulacrum. Okay. Opponent untaps. They draw. They play the tower. They play Ugin, who can uptick to kill Gideon because we didn't plus him. They're going to downtick to exile him? I mean, it's not like we're going to get him back from the grave, so I'm not sure that matters too much. So, exile a card from our opponent's grave. I think we sack Sunbaked Canyon to draw. Okay, boom and bust. We untap. Draw another Wrath of God, which is not what I wanted to see. We can boom, hit the tower. I don't think we can win this with an active Ugin. So, I'm going to go ahead and concede. I think it was definitely correct to have hit the... to have hit the O-Stone. I just got greedy. It seemed like it would work out, but... Okay, so versus this deck, I'm going to bring in Boil. We're going to drop all the Wraths. I'm going to bring in another Relic. Fry is not going to hit anything. Maybe we drop Sweltering Suns as well and just run Relic here for more cantripping. I could bring in Defense Grid if I was worried about the counterspells, but that also kind of competes with our own Boil. I'm just going to try like this. Alright, we'll play first. I mean, it's a rampy... It's a turn 3 Nahiri with a Cleansing Wildfire, potentially usable versus Tron. I think in the average case, we're going to be using it on ourselves, though. So we'll start Sacred Foundry tapped. Pass the turn. If they start, like, Tronland map, I might hit them. Well... Yeah, I think we're going to do this. This is way better versus Green Tron than versus Blue Tron. Because Blue Tron does not need to assemble... I mean, Boil helps. They don't need to assemble Tron very quickly. And blue mana is harder for them to get than green mana is for Green Tron. And it's also, like, more dependent on blue mana. Okay. So we're going to pillage Urza's Mine here. Pass the turn. Next turn, if they have to tap their Talisman of Dominance for mana, we can play Nahiri and downtick to take the Talisman. Of course, if they play an island and tap out, I'm just going to Boil. I think. Alright, they play a Clearwater Pathway. We draw Gideon. Play Sunbaked Canyon. We are going to try and run out of Nahiri here. And if she resolves, we will loot away Emrakul. Okay. So we shuffle 2 of our land destruction spells that we wouldn't mind drawing back into the deck. But it untaps, plays Tower. 4 mana. So they're going shields down for Walking Ballista on 2. Okay. We draw a Lightning Bolt. I think we just maximum destroy mana. So I'm going to start with Lightning Bolt on Walking Ballista to make them do something with Walking Ballista. Okay, they're going to ping down Nahiri. Okay. So Lightning Bolt fizzles. Downtick will exile there. I might just play this as a Demolish for their 1 island. They only have 2 cards left in hand. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to do that. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent is going to assemble Tron anyway. We untap. Draw Sunbaked Canyon. So, uptick Nahiri. Loot away Nahiri. We get an oust. Sack Sunbaked Canyon, will draw a card. Get another Nahiri. Play Sunbaked Canyon. Play Gideon of the Trials. And the problem here basically is only if my opponent has Ugin. Okay. Expedition map gets them the last Tron land. They play an Urza's Mine. Thirst for Knowledge. They discard a Talisman of Dominance. So we untap. We draw Sacred Foundry. Uptick Nahiri. I think we discard Oust. Okay. Sack Sunbaked Canyon. We get a Pillage. So we've hit a tower, we've hit a mine. Problem is, if we destroy a Tron land, they just get another one. Because we can't destroy the map anyway. I think we still blow up a tower here. Yep. Opponent cracks map, gets tower. Animate Gideon. Go to combat. Oh, do they have a Dismember? That's fine. It probably means there's not an Ugin, then, if they're willing to do that, because they would just play Ugin and down-tick him. I suppose they could uptick Ugin on Nahiri, now that we only have one Planeswalker. We're still not going to beat an Ugin, I don't think. Okay, opponent thirsts for knowledge again. This time they discard Expedition Map. We untap. We draw Boil, which doesn't help here because my opponent has no islands. Uptick Nahiri. We will discard... I guess we have to discard Nahiri. Draw Cascading Cataracts. Sack Sunbaked Canyon. Which I really can't overstate how good that is. Okay. They have 2 towers in the grave already. So, pillage... Urza's Tower. The only way they get around that is a Warping Whale. So, play Cascading Cataracts and pass. And now they have to answer Nahiri this turn. Okay. Cool. So we're going to game 3. Yeah, we'll run it back. I'm going to restart the client really quick, though, because it's lagging pretty bad. Okay. I don't think this is a very good hand of 7, so we're going to mulligan. We would like to have some land destruction. Theoretically, it's pretty good versus Tron. Okay. I'm going to keep this. It's a little slow, but if we top deck a red source, this hand's amazing. We'll put back Chandra. Opponent starts Power Plant. We draw a Lightning Bolt. Play Flagstones and Relic. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Blast Zone. Alright. We draw Pillage. I think we're just going to draw with Relic. Okay, we do not get another red source. So play Flagstones, sack Flagstones, and we'll get a Sacred Foundry. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an island. 3 mana for a Treasure Mage. Sure. We get a Worm Coil Engine. We untap, we draw a red source, which is perfect here. And I think we pillage the island. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays an Urza's Mine. They hit us for 2. We untap, we draw Boom and Bust. Play Gemstone Caverns. Bolt Treasure Mage. So we don't have to deal with that. Then Boom will take out Mine, we'll take out Power Plant. So we're going to focus down Power Plants now. Opponent ticks up Blast Zone to 2. We'll get a Sacred Foundry. Pass the turn. We don't want to use Cleansing Wildfire if we don't have to, because we don't want our opponent to have blue mana. They play Tower. They play Talisman. Okay. We draw a Lightning Bolt. So we'll pillage Tower. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Power Plant. We untap. Draw Relic. Oof. I guess we boom, and we're going to get rid of Gemstone Caverns to take out this Power Plant. Okay, my opponent gifts Ungiven, targeting us. I'm glad we didn't play Relic first. Let's see what they get. Solemn Simulacrum, Crucible of Worlds, Trinket Mage, and Thirst for Knowledge. What does Trinket Mage get them? Expedition Map? I think I'm going to dump Crucible and Solemn. Okay. Then we can play Relic. Start exiling cards out of the grave. Which we may just crack Relic to draw here, but... And the reason I didn't give them Crucible and then nuke the grave is because I want to... Like, I'm going to be casting more land destruction spells. Okay, so opponent plays Trinket Mage here. They get Expedition Map, which they play. Okay, Bolt Mage. Pass the turn. We untap. We draw Johnny Vengeant. We hit the Tron land, I guess. See what we draw. Cascading Cataracts. Okay. So play that. And I'm just going to exile the grave. We draw a Lightning Bolt. Pass the turn. Opponent main phase, Thirst for Knowledge. I think they're just looking for lands, if they can get them, to make a more informed decision about what they should expedition map. Okay. We untap, draw Cleansing Wildfire. We are going to try and resolve into Johnny here. Hopefully they don't have Condescend. They just drew a bunch of cards, so I mean, okay, they remand. This means there's a Worm Coil that we got to deal with now, which is a big deal. Our best draw would be like Oust. Okay, opponent plays Worm Coil. We untap. We draw Maze Mind Tome. Play Maze Mind Tome. Scry. Gideon, if he resolves, can actually deal with Worm Coil because he can just fog it eternally. I guess that's fair. We're gonna hit their Blast Zone. Pass the turn. Opponent attacks us for 6. We go to 7. Opponent goes to 25. And they play an Urza's Mine, and they pass. We draw a Sacred Foundry. So, attempt to play a Gideon. Fog Worm Coil. Play Sacred Foundry, tapped, and pass the turn. Okay. We want to stay at 7 life, if possible, so that if somehow Wormcoil Engine makes it through, we don't just immediately die in one hit. It's going to take 2 swings at least. I have to somehow try and play faster, because my opponent is way, way ahead on the clock for us. Okay, opponent plays a land. They pass. Maze Mind Tome Scry at the end step. Cataracts to the bottom. We untap. We draw. They're going to Rift Gideon. Make me replay him. Okay, well, there's not much I can do about that. Draw Boom and Bust. Attempt to resolve Gideon again. If we can run them out of counters here, we're actually in a pretty good spot. Okay, opponent condescends, X3, that's fine, I guess. Can't pay for it. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Goes to combat. Attacks us for 6. Yep. I think we have to like, hope that was our opponent's only counterspell. 7 mana. Mere Battle Ball. Well, there goes all hope, I think, because I took out all of our Wraths. Okay. Scry with Maze Mind Tome. Bolt to the bottom. Untap. Scry with Tome. We'll go up to 5 life. There's a Nahiri, which we could use to exile Wormcoil, but my opponent had an additional threat, so... Alright, they got us. Bluetron's a tough matchup. It feels like it shouldn't be, but it is. Alright. Round 3. Oh man, without red mana, it's really questionable. I mean, like, if we're playing against a deck that Relic is good against, then... it might be worth it. I'm going to keep. Let's see what happens. Opponent mulled to 5. They start Forest. Amulet. Okay, well, land destruction should be good versus Amulet. Hopefully. Kind of depends on how good their opener is, and the fact that they mulliganed is probably a good sign for us. Alright, Castle Garenbrig. We untap. Draw Gemstone Caverns, play Sunbaked Canyon. Boom, take out Castle Garenbrig. Okay, Flagstones. We'll go and get a Sacred Foundry tapped. Exile the land from their grave. Just in case they're one of those weird lists running Ramanop Excavator in the main. Because apparently Green-White Titan does that. As evidenced by our last Tron League. Opponent plays a Gemstone Mine. Explores. Plays a Forest. Alright. We untap. We draw Nahiri. Exile the Graves, draw a card. Get a Lightning Bolt. Play Gemstone Caverns, play Relic. Pass the turn. Then we're going to start playing Planeswalkers. Okay, opponent plays Cavern. Name's Giant. Plays Dryad, which Nahiri can exile because it is an enchantment, even though it's untapped as a creature. Okay. Play a Mountain. Play Nahiri. Exile Dryad. In order for them to play Titan next turn, though, they would have to have exactly, I guess, Bounce Land Titan or Garen Brig Titan. And if they don't, we're going to blow up lands. Okay, opponent explores. We untap. We draw another Nahiri. So uptick. We're going to loot away Nahiri. Another Boom and Bust. Play a Plains. Play a Johnny. Stop Cavern from untapping. Pass the turn. And then next turn, if we draw a land, we just Armageddon. Otherwise, we blow up 2 other lands, I think. No, I think we try and set up for the Armageddon. We could do the sack Sunbaked Canyon to draw a card. 2-mana land destruction trick, I guess. Okay, so versus Amulet Titan. Anger's not really good. Timely's not really good. Celestial Purge isn't good. Awakened Inferno is not good. Defense Grid's not good, and Relic is kind of medium. I think I'm going to drop Sweltering Suns for a Relic, just so that we have a little bit more cantripping power, and then run it back. Hopefully with enough fast land destruction, we can just stop our opponent from doing anything that matters. Alright. I think this is worth keeping. Worst case scenario, we can ramp to a quick Nahiri, which might do something against what our opponent is doing. Or we could filter with Cleansing Wildfire to get double red, or Pillage. Kind of depends on our opponent's start, I guess, and what we draw turn 1 and turn 2. Okay, opponent did mulligan to 6, which is good for us. They start Breeding Pool untapped into an Amulet, okay? We untap, we draw a Mountain. So play Mountain, pass the turn. If my opponent plays a Bounce Land and nothing else, I would definitely Cleansing Wildfire a Bounce Land. They play Valakut and they untap it. Explore. If they don't have another land here, that's really impressive. We draw Pillage, so I'm going to Cascading Cataracts, and I'm going to Cleansing Wildfire myself. And we're going to get a Plains. Okay, we draw Flagstones, pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays the Simic Bounce Land, untaps it, floats mana, plays Dryad, so they can replay the Bounce Land. They untap it, float mana, explore, play a Bounce Land, untap it, float mana, bounce it again. Play Azusa. Okay. So, couple options. We can play Nahiri, down tick on Dryad, take them off of 1 land play, and take them off of Valakut doing anything. We could pillage Amulet, which would take away a lot of their power, but wouldn't deal with their creatures at all. I think pillaging the Amulet is probably the highest value. Yeah, so we're going to do that. Okay, pass the turn. Hopefully they don't have another one. Okay, opponent just attacks. Second main. Nothing. We untap. Draw Cascading Cataracts. Okay. So, play Flagstones. Play Nahiri. We could take them off of 2 land plays, or we can take them off of Dryad. If we hit Azusa with Nahiri here, she dies to Dryad, so we're going to hit Dryad. This does leave my opponent with 2 land plays, which is technically more powerful, but next turn we're going to Armageddon. So we're going to Armageddon and have a Planeswalker in play. If I draw removal for Asuza, I will probably do that and then just blow up their lands normally. We know they're holding a bounce land. They hit Nahiri down to 1. They play Growth Chamber, they float green mana, pick up Breeding Pool, they play Breeding Pool untapped, and they play Dryad. Okay, from here, I'm definitely casting an Armageddon. Scratch that. Did I say Armageddon? I meant Wrath of God. So, play Cataracts. Wrath of God. Boom, take out the bounce land. Uptick Nahiri. Loot away Darksteel Citadel. Pass the turn. Now we don't need to Armageddon. We took our opponent off of so much there. That feels great. Okay, opponent plays a Field of the Dead. Draw another Pillage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Uptick Nahiri. Loot away Maze Mind Tome. Play a Plains. Activate Cascading Cataracts. Add 5 red mana. Pillage. Pillage. No more colored mana for you. And opponent scoops the match. Alright. So yeah, that's a line that I haven't taken before. Is activating Cascading Cataracts for mana. When you filter mana that way, you lose 1 mana overall, but it's definitely worth it, as that demonstrates sometimes. Something I forget to do occasionally, so it's something I need to improve on, something I need to be aware of as I'm playing this deck. Alrighty, round 4. Here we go. I would love to play first. We can do better. I want some land destruction, generally. No double red. I'm going to 5. Okay. So I guess at this point, I'll keep whatever I can get. So this is good if we draw Boom and Bust. It's good if we draw Cleansing Wildfire. We'll start Sacred Foundry tapped. Pass the turn. My opponent's name is Dr. Queller, so I'm pretty sure they're playing Spirits. Wow, would you look at that? They're playing Spirits. We draw Wrath of God, so I'm going to just Lightning Bolt this. Play Cascading Cataracts, pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Cavern named Spirit. Plays another Mausoleum Wanderer, we untap. We draw Pillage, but we can't play it. Play Maze Mind Tome. Pass the turn. Problem is that Mausoleum Wanderer is pretty good Wrath of God protection. Okay, they play a Spectral Sailor, untap. And they play a Selfless Spirit, which is the other half of their very good Wrath protection. Okay. They get in for 3. We'll take it. Go to 17. Wouldn't mind drawing more Lightning Bolts. Second Flagstones to the bottom. Untap. Scry on our upkeep. Plains to the bottom. Draw Gemstone Caverns. So, play Caverns. And I think we Wrath here. It kills a 1/1. Interesting. They would rather have the situational counterspell than the additional power here. Okay, opponent attacks for 2. We go to 15. We untap. We draw Sweltering Suns. Draw an additional card. Another Pillage. Pass the turn. Opponent attacks for 2. We untap. I'm going to scry and see if I can hit a red land. We gain 4. Scry. Plains to the bottom. Sacred Foundry. Play Sacred Foundry. We're going to pillage Cavern of Souls. Yeah, we're going to pillage Cavern of Souls. So this way, if my opponent has a Rattle Chains, they can play it. They can pump Mausoleum Wanderer, but they can't counter pillage. And if they play Rattle Chains, they're going to be playing into a Sweltering Suns. So they have another Spectral Sailor. They path their own Spectral Sailor. Okay? You get an island. They untap. They play another island. Alright? So they're playing like they got Spell Queller. So they're going to Spell Queller Pillage. Hopefully Sweltering Suns can then sweep up the board. Okay. Pillage Seachrome Coast. Okay. It is unfortunate we don't have another red source here. I guess it wouldn't matter because our opponent would just counter Sweltering Suns with Mausoleum Wanderer. So, alright, pass the turn. I think I would want my opponent to just, like, play out a Drogskull Captain here. Wow. I'm good at this. Alright, they hit us for 6. We go to 8. We untap. We draw a Johnny Vengeant. Cast Sweltering Suns. This will kill their Lord and then kill their Spell Queller, giving us back our Pillage, which we can use to hit Seachrome Coast. Pass the turn. Feels pretty good. Opponent top decks a Hallowed Fountain, which they play tapped. We untap. Draw Wrath of God. It's a good backup plan. Play a Johnny Vengeant. Say Hallowed Fountain, can't untap. Pass the turn. They did not have a Rattle Chains. They play Flooded Strand. Okay. So on our opponent's end step, sack Sunbaked Canyon. Draw Sunbaked Canyon. Untap. Man, look at how good these sack lands are. They're ridiculous. Stop Hallowed Fountain from untapping. Red, colorless will pillage snow-covered island. Okay. Play Sunbaked Canyon, pass the turn. Okay. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand, gets a Hallowed Fountain tapped. They untap. They draw something. Pass the turn. Sack Sunbaked Canyon will draw Cleansing Wildfire. Untap. Draw Darksteel Citadel. Uptick on Hallowed Fountain. Cleansing Wildfire ourself. Get a mountain, because we're a little low on red mana. Draw Nahiri. Play Darksteel. Play Nahiri. Uptick, no discard. Okay, pass the turn. Man, look at if we hadn't had those Sunbaked Canyons, our opponent would have had 2 extra turns to do something. It was so critical. We untap. We draw Day of Judgment. So we're going to loot away a Day of Judgment. Get a Relic. Play Relic. Use it to draw. Did my opponent concede? They may have conceded. Play Relic. Use it to draw. Play Sunbaked Canyon. You know what? We're going to sack Sunbaked Canyon right now. Okay, another Nahiri. Uptick on Hallowed Fountain. Pass the turn. Okay, they can take up Aether Vial. But I mean, we're just going to Armageddon them and go get Emrakul. So, I mean, at this point, there's not a lot they can do. Yeah. Okay, so we're bringing in Fry. We're bringing in Boil. Timely Reinforcements and Anger of the Gods, and I think Chandra, actually. What do we go down for this massive sideboard? We're dropping Relic. We're dropping, I think Gideon of the Trials. I think we drop 1 Day of Judgment from all of the, like, damage sweepers we have now. Maze Mind Tome is not quite as good, and I think we go down a Gideon, because he's going to be hard to resolve, and I think an Oust. Okay, we'll try it like this. Alright, well this is turn 2 land destruction, but my opponent is likely going to have, like, Mausoleum Wanderer. We do have a Sweltering Suns, though, so I think I'm willing to keep this. The only problem here is if we just draw lands and flood. Okay, opponent starts Flooded Strand for a Plains, probably into an Aether Vial. Okay, we draw. Boom. Play Sacred Foundry tapped. I'm going to restart the client. Lagging again. Okay, we appear to be back. We're going to need a Pillage to deal with that Aether Vial, I believe. Okay. Opponent untaps. Aether Vial goes up to 1. They play a Flooded Strand. They play a second Aether Vial. Okay, land destruction not going to be as good this game, but we're still going to do it. Opponent could Vial in a Mausoleum Wanderer if they wanted to, which they don't. Okay, opponent cracks Flooded Strand, gets a Hallowed Fountain tapped, does not Vial in any 1-drop spirits. Okay. Because of that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pillage this Aether Vial this turn. Okay, second pillage is great. The only way this goes wrong is if my opponent does have a Mausoleum Wanderer and was disciplined enough to not use it. Okay, they Vial in a Supreme Phantom. As long as they don't get more Lords, the Sweltering Suns will still do work. They play Cavern. They name Spirit. They hit us for 1. Okay. We draw Chandra. So, 1 extra mana here doesn't matter. We're going to pillage Aether Vial. They would need Spell Queller here. Okay. So as long as they don't have another Lord, or if they do, we draw a hard Wrath, we're fine. Okay, opponent takes up Aether Vial to 3. Gets in for 4. Sure. We untap. We draw Boom and Bust. So we will attempt a Boom on Cavern. Sweltering Suns. If they have a Lord, this does nothing. Oh, man. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Opponent files in. Drogskull Captain. Drogskull Captain wouldn't have done it there because it would have still died. Alright, opponent gets in for 2. They play a Horizon Canopy, we untap, we draw Flagstones. Play Flagstones. Play Chandra. We're gonna uptick first. Pass the turn. Because next turn we're gonna downtick in whatever way matters the most, and then Armageddon. Okay? So opponent starts burning and scoops. Alright. Well, we're 2-2 going into round 5. Alright, round 5. Alright, we get to be on the play, which is good for our deck, so. Bolts, Maze Mine Tome, but no land destruction. I think I'm going to mulligan. This hand is really good if we draw land, and kind of bad if we don't. I go to 5. Yeah, we're going to go to 5. Alright, you know what? It's not fast, it's not proactive, and does basically nothing, but I don't want to go lower than 5. So, we're going to drop 2 mountains. We'll start Sacred Foundry tapped, and pass the turn. So, Boom and Bust, Cleansing Wildfire, both excellent top decks right now. When it starts Forest, Elvish Reclaimer. So it looks like the the green-white Titan deck. We draw Cleansing Wildfire, so play Flagstones, Cleansing Wildfire ourself. We will get a Mountain. Flagstones is going to get us a Sacred Foundry. Pass the turn. Okay. Our opponent plays their own Flagstones and passes. We draw Wrath of God, play a Plains, play Nahiri, and we're going to loot away Sacred Foundry. Alright, Boom and Bust. That is very close to being good. If we can control our opponent's creatures next turn and draw 1 more land, we're going to be in a pretty excellent spot. Okay, they get Temple Garden off of Flagstones. Elvish Reclaimer finds them another Flagstones. Okay. They play Windswept Teeth. Play Amulet. Second Amulet. Oh god. Okay, that's a lot of Amulet shenanigans. We untap. We draw Sacred Foundry. We uptick Nahiri. Do we discard? I don't think we discard. I think we just play Sacred Foundry. If I Wrath and my opponent plays Titan, we're in trouble. Like, we're in a lot of trouble. We might actually just be dead. Okay, opponent plays Windswept Teeth, or cracks Windswept Teeth, gets a Forest, gets Temple Garden, cracks Flagstones for Elvish Reclaimer. So they can get a Temple Garden, untap it twice, and then, like, cast 2 Eladamri's Calls or something, which would be pretty gross. Okay, so they got Talaria West and Hollowed Fountain. So our opponent attacks Nahiri. Nahiri goes to 5. Let's see what they play. Kind of do want them to tap out here for something. I hope they're not running counterspells. Bant Titan with counterspells would be interesting. Okay, opponent plays a Simic Growth Chamber, makes approximately 1 trillion mana. They pick up Talaria West, so they're going to transmute, probably for Titan. Yeah, they're going to get Summoner's Pact. They'll Pact for Titan. If they tap out and they don't kill us... Oh, they get Dryad, okay. I was going to say, if they tap out and they don't kill us, we just bust, and then they die. Okay, they Lightning Bolt Nahiri. They get to untap Valakut twice. They're not going to use Valakut's mana. Nahiri goes down to 2. Okay, well, if Bust resolves, our opponent loses. And if Bust doesn't resolve, we get to keep our lands. Oh yeah! Armageddon, baby! Enjoy that Summoner's Pact. Pitch Wrath of God. Pass the turn! Yep. Oh, man. Nice. Okay, versus Titan. I don't think we adjust. I think we just run it back as is. They don't have enough islands for us to run Boil. No early land destruction, though we do have a Lightning Bolt to interact with an Elvish Reclaimer or a Soccer Tribe Scout. Not sure if they run Scout, actually. I'm going to keep this. We have a decent curve. We have all of our colors of mana. Most top decks from this position are good. Okay, we top deck a Pillage, which is fine. I'm going to shock Sacred Foundry and play Relic. Okay, pass the turn. They crack Windswept Teeth, we make them exile it. Okay, they get a Forest. They play Selesnya Sanctuary. Okay, please let me draw Boom and Bust. I would not mind losing one of my lands here. Yeah, buddy! Okay, Sacred Foundry, untapped. Boom. Make him exile it. Pass the turn. I mean, that would have been way better if we had an indestructible land. Like, immeasurably so. Opponent wisens up and plays Flagstones. We untap. Draw Day of Judgment. Play Maze Mind Tome, because we really need to hit that third land. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent is holding a Forest. They play Field of the Dead. They're trying to hide their green mana for now. So on their end step, we will scry 1. Mountain on top. Untap. Play Mountain. Pillage Field. Maze Mind Tome is so good in this deck. Like, drawing extra cards in red and white feels so strong. And even, like, just manipulating your top deck is, like, good most of the time. Okay, opponent plays a Temple Garden, tapped. So we need good land destruction, just land, or... We could draw basically any part of our deck and have it be good here, except maybe another Bolt. We do not want to draw another Bolt. So Maze Mind Tome on their end step. Boom and Bust is very tempting. I don't want this particular piece of land destruction. I think drawing a land here would be better. Scry on our upkeep. Darksteel Citadel I will keep. Play Citadel. Play Nahiri. And I think we just uptick no discard. Okay, pass the turn. So now we know our opponent has at least a Forest. They will get to 3 mana. We should be able to answer anything they play. Okay, they play their Forest. They play Reclamation Sage. They're going to hit Maze Mind Tome. Okay. Seems good. We untap. See what we draw. Sunbaked Canyon. Uptick Nahiri to 8. We will discard Sunbaked Canyon. Okay, we get a Cascading Cataracts. Lightning Bolt Rexage. Pass the turn. I don't want to sack Sunbaked Canyon this turn, because I might need to cast Wrath. But hopefully, getting our opponent with an Emrakul, or potentially having a Nahiri stick around after an Emrakul, wins us the game. Okay, opponent plays Azusa. Vesuva on Flagstones. They're trying to set up for protection against an Armageddon, I guess. Or they just need to get lands out of their deck. Flagstones gets them Plains. They play another Plains. I mean, like, we're just gonna... I think we just Emrakul here. We untap. Draw Sweltering Suns. Yeah, let's go get Emrakul. There's no reason to delay. It's so dangerous. Go to combat. Make them sack their whole board. Alright. And after a kind of sketchy start, we eventually 3-2. Definitely owe some of those wins to Sunbaked Canyon. So Six Sigma, I know you're watching, and I want to thank you again, because you're the reason we 3-2'd there with those Sunbaked Canyons. The deck is so much more powerful with them, it's not even funny. Like, just being able to cash in those extra top decks, especially in a 24 land deck, makes a huge difference. And we need the 24 lands in this deck because we need to be able to top deck lands. But having the option to turn some of those lands into card draws is so good. Absolutely worth it. If you're going to build this deck, I recommend waiting until you have the sack lands, because they are so important. Other than that, there are a number of decks now that land destruction is not as good as against, because the Jeskai deck is playing Flagstones, and Titan is playing Flagstones, and a a lot of decks now, they're just going to hide their turn 1 land behind a fetch land. So, like, Boom on turn 2 is not as good as it used to be, which I thought was kind of interesting for this league. But thankfully, we 3-2'd, we powered through. We could have won either one of those first 2 matches, because we 1-2'd both of them. I think I punted away the 4-1 by playing against Mono Blue Tron the way I did. I definitely should have pillaged the O-Stone, but I got a little bit greedy. I thought it was going to be okay, and my opponent had a way out of it because they had Walking Ballista. So, all in all, I like the deck. I still like the deck. Even though it's not as good as it was, it's way more powerful with the Sunbaked Canyons, and I still love playing it. Playing a grindy, attrition-y deck on a different axis than most normal games go is fun for me. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck list. I really enjoyed playing it. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. I would greatly appreciate it if you did. You can also follow me on Twitch, same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This upcoming Wednesday, the 11th, might be the last stream for a while. We'll see. Kind of depends on how good the internet is at my parents' house. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!